It's yet another game where Kentucky is down multiple players, and it's yet another game where the bench in the defense stepped up.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's 82-61 win over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Cannot believe the defense that we saw in this game. Going to talk about the positives, going to talk about how well Kentucky can play without some of their star performers. Going to look ahead, see what the Cats are going to be dealing with down the stretch. This was a game where Kentucky was projected to win, and then they blew that projection out of the water. Really proud of the way that the Cats played tonight. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, would greatly appreciate it if you did so. Got some really interesting things happening right now in college basketball as I record this. Auburn up by 2 at home against the Arkansas Razorbacks, 55-57 with 4:22 left in that one. Bama down by 10 on the road at Missouri with 10 minutes left in that contest. We'll continue to monitor those as we move along here. If you have any thoughts about this game, would love for you to comment down below. Let me know what you thought about Kentucky's really impressive performance here. Let's go ahead and dive in. So the Wildcats, as of late, have been playing pretty good defense. And when you saw this contest, you really didn't expect Kentucky to do anything over the moon impressive, right? They've played well against South Carolina, really well against Tennessee. They gave up some points against Texas on the road, and you thought, well, maybe they'll have just an average or slightly beneath average performance here with Vandy, and they blew the Commodores out of the water in that second half. Just 21 second half points for the Doors, who came into this one not playing great basketball. They lose by 21 here. And the biggest player that I thought made the biggest impact on the court tonight was, of course, Amari Williams. 17 points, 6 of 6 from the floor, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. You get 6 rebounds and an assist here in 27 minutes of play. What have we been saying? What did I say in the preview episode? If you guys got a chance to watch that, we talked about this. We talked about how important it would be for Amari Williams to be a back-to-the-basket post-game influence on this matchup because it opens up some opportunities from beyond the arc. And that's exactly what happened in this game. Amari became more of a post threat. He hit every single shot he put up. He was going to have a game like this. He was bound to. It was going to happen at some point. And he cashed in from the charity stripe. We are seeing Amari Williams play some of the best basketball by a front court player in Kentucky history right now. Mark Pope mentioned it post-game about how if you look at his per 40 minutes, he's one of the all-time greats in the SEC, at least so far he has been in conference play. He can distribute, he can dunk the ball, he can rebound when he is playing aggressive and physical like he was tonight. He is not necessarily unstoppable, but we're seeing him start to hit his ceiling in real time, especially over these last several games where he's gotten a triple-double, only the second in Kentucky history. He's been able to continue to dominate on the boards. You look at his defensive rebounding percentage, it's up to 6th nationally. There's only one player over the last, I think, like decade plus that has rebounded as well as Amari. I think it was Wildcats Tongue that tweeted about this, and it's Oscar Tshiebwe, at least in a Kentucky uniform. Plus 27 tonight. Or excuse me, I messed that up. He was, let's check here real quick. That is visitor stats. Lance, you have completely botched this. Plus 15 tonight, and plus minus 4 blocks to go along with those 6 boards and 17 points. It does not really get better than that. It's so interesting to me how Kentucky, for what feels like the longest time, has not gotten an elite performance out of both their starting and backup big men. Like Brandon Garrison will have a good game and Amari will struggle. Or Garrison will have a really good game, Garrison will have a good game and then Amari will struggle. It's like it's one of the two. It's never been both at the same time. Garrison, 15 minutes in this game, only took 1 shot and missed it, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and a block in plus 6, but it was nowhere near the impact that Amari had on the floor tonight. Really, really great stuff. I think that the way that, again, it was able to open up stuff from the outside was crucial in this contest. 11 of 27. That's what Kentucky was from beyond the arc, a clean 40.7%. 6 of 12 in the second half. And really, that's kind of what we need to focus on here. It's just how much of a second half game this was, because Vanderbilt was down by 1 at half. It was 40-41. They were shooting the ball very well at the rim, at least it felt like. And Kentucky in that second half was able to just kind of take over and then clamp down. There was one stretch where I think they got like 5 or 6 stops in a row. Again, credit to Amari Williams for crashing the boards, being aggressive. We'll talk about Collin Chandler in a second, guys. Don't worry. And they just sort of controlled it. There wasn't a kill shot in this game. Kentucky did go on a 9-0 run, if I'm not mistaken. But it felt like so many different times in that second half where Kentucky was just pulling away and pulling away and pulling away, and Vanderbilt didn't really have a great answer for it. Just did not have a great answer at all. We'll continue to recap this massive win for Kentucky by 21 points against a good Vanderbilt squad. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and there was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back. Now, Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. It's an expert who's backed by the latest technology with cross-checks with millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress, and you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. There's no stressing, there's no worrying, there's no waiting. Now that right there is taxes. It's over at intuitturbotax.com. You can get an expert now over on turbotax.com. Only available to TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. All right, continuing along here on the Wednesday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. I know this is going to be post both of these games for you, but I'm just kind of checking on this in real time. Of course, some of you in the live chat here will be able to comment about this here late Wednesday night. Auburn is now only up by 1 with 3 minutes to go. Arkansas with the ball, 56-57. Some great defense there from the Hogs. Hey, seems like Kentucky is not the only team that can struggle at home against the Hogs. Missouri still up 10 with 8.5 to go against Bama, 83-73 in that game. They were up by 20+, I think, with just a crazy run there towards the end of the first half. They scored, 59 points in that first period of play. Goodness gracious. And Arkansas is officially taking the lead. So let's get back to this Kentucky matchup here. Another player that I want to give praise to, Otega Oweh. I also said in the preview in my keys to the game, Oweh was our X factor heading into this one. I said he was the most important player on the floor. Of course, that did not take into account Amari Williams going 6 for 6 with 4 blocks, but 20 points, 7 of 10, 1 of 2 from 3, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, a block and a steal, plus 23, led all players in plus minus, and if I'm not mistaken, he also led all players in scoring. Yes. This is what we said in the preview episode. If Oweh can be an efficient scorer at the rim, then then Kentucky's going to have a great time tonight. If they could have gotten things going at the rim with Williams and Oweh, they were going to be in a pretty good position to win. And of course, both of those things happened. He was driving. He hit a couple of different elbow, like jumpers from the elbow, which were nice to see. He was 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Great stuff from Oweh. He was scoring well in the first half. Normally, he's a second-half player. He was scoring in the second half, first half, scoring all over the place. By the way, Kentucky in this game, 13 of 13 from the foul line. 13 of 13. They only took 1 free throw in the first half. They took 12 in the second. It's impressive. It's very impressive. Vanderbilt only 6 of 11 from the charity stripe. By the way, if you want to look at the percentages, oh my gosh. Okay, so I didn't realize the percentages there was this large of a discrepancy here. But Vanderbilt shot 40% from the floor. Kentucky shot 58%. They shot 20% from 3. Again, like I said earlier, Kentucky shot 40.7%. 54.5% from the charity stripe. Kentucky, obviously 100%. In the second half, 29.6% for Vandy, 65.5% for Kentucky. 1 of 10 from 3. Kentucky was 6 of 12. Vanderbilt had 6 turnovers in that second half, 10 on the game. Kentucky had 13 on the game, 7 in that second half. But it didn't matter because Vanderbilt wasn't churning it into points. And I think a lot of their issue tonight was the fact that they could not get a lot of jump shots to fall. They were taking a lot of really weird shots, as they have done whenever they play with pace. Tyler Nickel is 1 of 8 in this game. Jason Edwards was 4 of 12. Almost said Justin Edwards. They just had a lot of things not go their way outside of Devin McLaughlin, who had 14 and 10. He was their leading scorer. He was their X factor here in this one for Vandy. I mean, I'm not going to lie, and this is not me patting myself on the back because I didn't give a prediction for this game. I thought it was going to be close. I was worried about this one. I did not think that it was going to be a 20-point win. A lot of things that we kind of talked about in the preview episode about Oweh, about Williams, about the defense, about not turning the ball over, about inside-outside basketball. I mean, you saw everything here. I mean, you want to talk here for a second about the way that guys like Andrew Carr played. Inside out, 11 points, 5 of 8 from the floor. He hit that big 3 in the second half that kind of was in the middle of that Kentucky run there. Kobe Brea, 12 points, 4 of 6, 3 assists, no turnovers. 3 of 6, no turnovers. Oh, wait, 3 assists, 1 turnover, by the way. Brea, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. Man, he came out the gates firing. He hit that big 3 at the beginning, and it's like, okay, well, you know this is going to be a Kobe Brea type game. Cats just all around, when you start to look more and more at the analytics, they played really, really well. They had more points off turnovers despite turning the ball over 3 more times. They managed to crash the defensive glass despite giving up 11 offensive rebounds, 28 defensive rebounds, just 2 second chance opportunities for the Cats, which is crazy. 11 offensive rebounds and 9 second chance points for Vanderbilt. I think that's a really impressive stat there. They almost had just as many points in the paint after they had a really abysmal first half doing so. They had more fast break points. They had 6 more blocks. They had more assists. And they just clamped down defensively, and Vanderbilt couldn't hit a jump shot in the second half. I was impressed. Speaking of impressed, we'll talk about it. Collin Chandler. There have been many a person out there that have given their take on Collin Chandler and whether or not he should play and how he is utilized. I've not been somebody that's been optimistic about his outlook. I've been less optimistic about Perry. And tonight, both of them, well, Perry was all right. Chandler was good. 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 15 minutes of play. He was only +3 in the plus-minus, which was second worst on the team. So defensively, he was having some issues, but his defense is not his issue, which is kind of weird. Maybe it's a matchup thing. But yeah, Collin Chandler, this is the best game he's played in a Kentucky uniform. You want to see more from outside the arc, especially when open, but I'm not mad at it at all. 7, 6, and 2. 7, 6, 2, and 2, technically, yeah. We'll take it. Can you replicate something like that against Bama this weekend? We'll see. Perry had 6 points, 2 of 5 shooting, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Continues to struggle inside the arc, but has now become a pretty efficient shooter from beyond. 2 assists to 3 turnovers. He is just not taking care of the basketball like he needs to. Of course, he's our 4th-string point guard. Kind of expect some things to go wrong. 15, plus 15, and plus-minus. Hard to believe, but that's where he is. That's where he finished in this game. By the way, Kobe Brea plus 22, and again, Amari plus 15. Almanor off the bench, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, plus 10 in 17 minutes of play. Good stuff from him there. And then the thing I kind of wanted to end the show on here, to look ahead, is, well, first of all, let's check in, see what's going on. Okay, Auburn is now up by 3 with 36 seconds left. Missouri is up by 14 underneath 8 minutes to play, 7:20 to go. I can only imagine. They've 90 points with 8 minutes left. By the way, Bama is shooting 54% from the floor and 47.8% from beyond the arc, and they have given up 90 points. Holy cow. We shall see what happens. But the biggest thing here is, like, you know how I've been talking about defensive efficiency for the Cats over and over and over and over, how important it is that they get 2 things down: their overall adjusted efficiency and their 2-point field goal defense. Their 2-point field goal defense is still 15th in the SEC, but their defensive efficiency jumped to 68th nationally. Do you remember a couple weeks ago after that Ole Miss game where Kentucky was like 109th or something like that? Like 109th, 111th, something like that. And now they're down to 68th? Bama on Saturday is probably going to mess with you a little bit. But I think I said, I don't want to give myself credit. Heading into this stretch, post Ole Miss, you could see Kentucky starting to play some of the less efficient teams in this league. Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vandy, Oklahoma, LSU. You're getting some easier opponents down the stretch. So with a combined, more intense effort on defense and paired with that, some easier competition. Nobody is easy in this league, but easier competition technically. You're seeing Kentucky start to play better. And this is without, by the way, their starting point guard. It's without their backup point guard. It's without their leading scorer and shooter in conference play. The defensive efficiency has jumped now from 16th to 14th in the SEC. And I've said it so many times. If they can get it down 60th or higher heading into the NCAA tournament, they're in a very good spot. Because at that point, you will have proven, okay, we figured some stuff out. 18-8, 7-6 in SEC play. You are projected to go 2-3 over your next 5. And it's a pretty clear-cut 2-3. And I don't think Jax or Butler, and definitely not Creasa, they're not going to be ready for Bama. So if you're 18-9, 7-7, you have to beat Oklahoma on the road. Like you have to beat Oklahoma on the road. Because if you don't, you're putting yourself in position to ask Kentucky to either beat Auburn or Missouri to finish 9-9 and to secure that 8 seed. You want an 8 seed or higher. Preferably, well, I won't even say preferably. I think that we need to see how Kentucky handles Auburn before we say anything. They were very competitive against Bama, right? Very competitive in that matchup. But I think that seeing how Auburn matches up with Kentucky will give us an answer as to whether or not we want the 8 or 7, excuse me. We do not want the 9. No, thank you. Because I think if you're 7-10 matchup in the SEC tournament, you would then turn around and play the 2, I think. So, and it's obviously the 1 or 2 is going to probably be Bama or Auburn, as we said 2 episodes ago when we went through every single possible hypothetical for the Cats down the stretch. Chandler played well. Oweh played well. Kobe shot the ball very well. Amari was the most valuable player on the floor again. Almanor 3 of 5 off the bench, just casually the most efficient shooter on the planet, which he is up to what now? Almanor is up to 44.9%, same as Kobe. Things are trending in the right direction. This Bama game this Saturday is probably going to be very tough. I don't think Kentucky wins right now unless they get kids back, but this is momentum. This is something that you can build on, and if you steal one in Tuscaloosa, then you're off and running. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnUK. You can follow me on Twitter at Lance_, and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Oh, that is the wrong hotkey. Any questions, comments, concerns? Leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless.